Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Patreon podcast. This week, I wanted to talk about the idea of getting hooked, or more specifically, putting hooks in your music or your artwork or just the things that you're doing. So usually, and I should explain what a hook is first. I know that there's a Blues Traveler song about it, but essentially, a hook is a point of interest that it makes your song a little bit more unique or a little bit more visually interesting, or just something that kind of sets it apart from the rest of the music out there. And whether that's I'm going to talk about music a lot in this because I'm way more familiar with musical hooks, but whether that's like a melody that has a very catchy sound to it, whether that's a rhythmic thing that just grabs your attention when it comes on, or even a chord progression that kind of turns things around in a way that you weren't expecting. All of these are hooks that make the song something interesting to listen to, not only once but multiple times. I mean, in the I think it was like the early 2000s with like alternative music and stuff, there was always the part of the song where all the stuff stopped except for like clapping in the background, and then they're just humming the melody over and over, and that could be considered the hook as well. But yeah, I think that there's a lot of different ways to express this, but usually the hook is something that comes in fairly early in the song, and it's something that, again, to quote Blues Traveler, it brings you back. It reminds you of why you're listening to the song, and it makes that song in particular unique. And I think that it's just really valuable to put emphasis on something like that. Because there's definitely been songs that I've listened to, like on Spotify Random or something like that, where it's just like they're so forgettable. They're just songs that start and then noise happens for a while and then they stop, and there's nothing that really grabs my attention in them. And something that's a hook for one song might just be the normal part of another song. It depends, like, contextually how it's put together. And I'm not really giving any specifics on how to make a hook here, because really it's all, like I said, it's contextual. It's something that you can't really be like, well, you start here and then add this and this and then you've got a hook. And it's like, no, that doesn't really work that way. But yeah, it's just, if you don't have something like no points of interest for your song, it's really hard for me to go back and listen to it again, just because like I have no reason, I have no impetus to go back and listen to a song again, because there's nothing in there that interests me. But if there's like a melodic hook or a rhythmic hook or something that really gets me interested in listening to it again, and kind of both experiencing the song and also kind of picking apart how they did that, and then I can add that to my little arsenal for how to do it myself. And I mean, that's really kind of the big thing. I think that it's important to put these points of interest in your song, simply because then if you find it interesting, if you find it curious, then other people will also find it interesting, because you definitely aren't the only one that has have the taste that you have. And when I'm doing the 2-hour track challenge, when I'm writing a song, I usually don't keep the song unless something grabs me. And sometimes things grab me within the first couple notes, and I'm like, okay, that's the way we're going. And then sometimes I kind of make a bed of sound, and I try to build a hook or some kind of point of interest on top of it. And that's honestly a little bit harder, but sometimes that's the way you've got to do it. But yeah, it's really valuable and really important to make that hook part of your process. And honestly, I try not to release songs without one, but I know I have in the past. And, that's part of the reason why the 2-hour track challenge has such big swings in quality, where there are some songs like the 17 completely mind-blowing facts about outer space, where it's like, I guess, yeah, I can give some examples. That 17 facts about outer space, that introduction arpeggio is something that really hooks me in right away, because it reminds me of like a science video. and then I reinforce that feeling with these random dumb facts about outer space, and like all of it kind of works together and reinforces a cohesive whole, a cohesive feeling throughout the whole thing. Another one that I really enjoy, and this one's a little bit more subtle, is I believe it's called Apoapsis, which is a song I think from like season 6 or 7 from the 2 Hour Track Challenge. But that song has a really interesting rhythmic structure where the drums go off of a like the kicks go off of the 4s, but the rest of the drum go off of 5s. And yeah, it's season 5 if you wanted to look it up. It's Apoapsis, Apoapsis. But the drums function like at different time signatures and different tempos. And I found that really interesting because nothing exactly lines up, but everything kind of works. And that's why I feel that mixed meter time signatures can be a really great hook as well, because it's just not something you hear every day. And if you can make that sound and feel natural, I think there's a lot of really interesting gold to mine there. So I guess I am good now. I said I was going to end this about 3 minutes ago, but then I wanted to give some examples. So yeah, I really think that adding a hook and adding some like interest into your work is very important. And again, like I mentioned this as a musician, but all of this works with visual art as well, whether that's positioning or color or size or any of the core, design theory elements. That it all kind of comes together, and just finding that way to contrast things enough to make it interesting, to make it something where every time you look at it, it's a little bit different and a little bit more complex, I think is really valuable. So yeah, that's everything. Thank you so much for being a Patreon supporter, and thank you so much for listening. I really do appreciate it. I hope you have a wonderful weekend, and I will talk to you next time. Be remarkable.